Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the Flight Sim world. This is Viperstrike 95, and today we're back for our around the world trip. Day number 26 of this around the world trip, and this will be the final around the world trip for more than a few weeks. And today we'll be going to Uruguay today. I hope everyone's doing well. So we're gonna make our way over to Uruguay today, and it's great to have you guys back. We're here back at Sierra Golf Alpha Sierra, Silvio Pederosi International Airport, just outside of the capital city of Asunción. So, I hope everyone's doing well as always. So, we're getting ready for two flights today. One from Asunción to Melo, which is one of the towns in northeast Uruguay. Then the second leg will be from Sumo over to Montevideo, which is the capital city of Uruguay. Should be a pretty nice flight for sure. So this entire journey should be around 600 nautical miles, but we'll do this in two flights. So before we get started, I want to say hello to everyone here. We have Red Dragon, good to see you. We also have Super Typhon, my trusty moderator. Super Typhon, good to see you. And hello to all the lurkers in the chat as well. Good to have you guys around here too. So, on today's stream, we'll be talking all about Uruguay today. Or Uruguay. Should be a pretty fun stream. So, that's going to be where it is today. We're going to be flying the 737-600 today. This is the smallest of the new generation 737s. It's also the least popular version, but I felt for this flight, because we're going to head into Melo, and that airport only has a 4,900-foot runway, I think it would be easiest to fly the 737-600 out of that airport to make our way over to Montevideo. So, beautiful aircraft, and it's great to take this more forgotten 737 variant out for a spin. So, I'm going to go back to my checklist and see. I'll get this done pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, can't believe we only got one flight left. So, but there have been some pretty interesting news. So, Active Sky was released yesterday. However, I did watch Murph stream that. And I said to myself, looking at that, I wonder, why would I even bother? The Microsoft, for all the faults with Microsoft's weather system, it still looks way better than that. Like, there's some nice things about it, but man, it is not worth the €27 for that thing. It's not worth it. Save the money for either a plane, or if you really want better weather, maybe wait to MSFS 24. Also, the tornado just came out yesterday as well. I heard news of the tornado, which should be a very fun military jet for sure. Which should be a lot of fun, but yeah, that out of sky, man. And also, it crashed a lot on Merv. Like, the app crashed a lot. The UI was terrible, and I mean, it even won't even let Merv even log back in because of all the times he had to log out. Yeah, no, it was not worth the money. I'm sorry. Guys, go ahead and go back to the menu. Let's go ahead and add our route. Make sure we're gonna go Sierra Golf Alpha Sierra 2 SUMO. Yeah, that just guy though, not worth the money. Especially was released just before Cross the Pond, which I don't think was a really good idea, honestly. To release it before then, especially for a huge VATSIM event. No, it's we're gonna go. I'm gonna go back to my my FS settings. 4, 5, 6, 2. In safety plan, at the weight, 20, 0. Okay. Cruise wind, 240. And how many runway feet here? This is 11,000 feet. Approach. Okay. Now we got that set up. Let's get back to my checklist. $47,000 feet. Flight directors. Settings. How low is the altitude here? 349. 350. Okay. Pretty good. No need for that. Parking brake, and we're gonna go ahead and turn off the chunks. Ground services, tracks. Right. Push back. Set on. Right. We're gonna go ahead and push back. So yeah, guys, I got some pretty good news though for Firefly Air. Before we get started, I do want to talk about Firefly Air. So far we're actually doing quite well for our virtual airline. No joke, we're just under 100K away from the new hub. I don't know what it could be. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities for where that new hub might end up. It could be Southeast Asia with places like Bangkok, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh City. Even some underrated places like Yangon and Hanoi would be some interesting options. Could be really interesting places as well. Those could be really interesting places we could have as well for Firefly Air. Yeah, we're just under 100,000 left, and I mean we can get it done within the next couple days. That means I'm gonna have to do lots of grinding for the next 2 days since I'm gonna be gone for over 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm gonna be gone on Sunday, so I'm gonna have to grind out a little harder for the next 2 days. So I'm good, but yeah, we're doing very, very well. I mean, it could be, I mean, for all I know, it could be Africa. I mean, there's a ton of options for it. I mean, you have to split up to different regions, but there are tons of great options. Like in the north, you got Tunis, Casablanca, Algiers. West Africa at Lagos or Accra or Abidjan. East Africa, Addis Ababa, Nairobi, Entebbe, Dar es Salaam. Southern Africa, you got Livingston, you got Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, Lesotho, Gaborone. I mean, you got plenty of options in that region. There's also the Caribbean, which we all know got an update. That would be a pretty interesting place to have. So, I mean, there's that region that can get something with the VA. There's also the Caribbean with some of its options like Sangster, Montego Bay. There's Puerto Plata. Both of those, um, Puerto Plata and Prince Juliana have a solo handcrafted for free. Um, yeah, I wonder what this. Yeah, and also, so yeah, we're gonna depart from 02. Yeah, for some reason the map thing doesn't show up. There's gonna be a new dev stream, so yeah, Typhon, if you have to, make sure you guys post some stuff on my Discord because um while I will be on the ship mainly, and since this is also gonna be in Alaska, I don't think I have to worry about getting cell service, but I might be busy on some excursions and stuff, so do let me know in the Discord if you got anything major for news and stuff you want to share. Oh, I did I. There you go. My IRS. Whoops, I forgot. Oh, oh gosh. Well, I think I figured out what was wrong. I set the map display thing was not working. I accidentally set the IRS wrong. Luckily, I think I know what to do. Load. Channel state. Excuse my flying, my poor flying. I got, excuse my poor flying attempt. I messed something up at the beginning because I never had the. Not my best start, guys. Whoops. My apologies, everyone. That was not how I wanted to do that. Luckily, this is going to get right back to its heading. So. My apologies, everyone. Not the way I would want to start the flight. At least it didn't crash. Nothing's worse than crashing. Hey, Filthy, good to see you. Yeah, don't mind me flopping and failing on the takeover. I had a technical issue because of the IRS. The thing wasn't working, so because I accidentally set it to ATT when it was supposed to be at NAV, and they had a thing, so I had to actually. But yeah, Filthy, we're getting very close to the Firefly Air. We're getting very, very close to the Firefly Air goals for this. Um, um, like I said, we're getting very, very close. And it happens even. On flight direct. But at least the good news is, at least I got up here safely. Like, well, we're heading to Uruguay today, or Uruguay, depending on who you ask. We're heading there today, Filthy. This will be the last time I'll be streaming for about 2 or 3 weeks because I'm going to be gone to Alaska on Sunday, so I'll be heading out there as well. But yeah, I did see Murph's thing of the reviews, and they were not very good. So yeah, if you weren't there yesterday, Filthy, there was that terrible add-on thing, the Atlas guy. I said to myself, I'm definitely avoiding that at pretty much all costs. Like, it is not a good app. Yes, I was doing a cruise. I'm doing a 14-day cruise in Alaska. We'll still be visiting. I think I mentioned this last week, but I'm going to visit Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, and Victoria like I did last time. But this time we'll be checking out some new places. Icy Street Point, that's new. Hubbard Glacier's brand new for us. Valdez is brand new for me. Seward is brand new as well. and Sitka are all brand new. And Sitka are brand new for me to visit Alaska. Yeah, it's a hard pass. I'm not getting that. Not worth the money, especially especially when default is quite nice. So here's Asuncion. Um, here's Asuncion. Here's the capital city of Paraguay, or Paraguay, depending. Where are you flight 10 there? My flight is actually is a non-stop flight. Filthy. I won't be flying. We're flying non-stop, but we're not flying out of Louisville to Seattle. We're actually gonna drive up northeast to Covington into Florence Airport, which is Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. Kilo Sierra Victor Golf, which is actually one of the more busy cargo airports in the United States. But it's also a pretty big airport as well, and we're flying nonstop on Alaskan Airlines to Seattle. Should be a decent flight. Um, it's still like a small hub for Delta, but it's mainly grown a lot more as a cargo airport. Actually, it used to be a hub for Delta, but it's become a global cargo hub for like Amazon Air, Atlas Air, and DHL. It makes it the sixth busiest airport in the U.S. for cargo. So Cincinnati is definitely a very big cargo airport. It used to be a major Delta hub for. And actually, here's the thing: at one point, it used to be the second largest hub for Delta after Atlanta. It's pretty crazy to think about. Cincinnati used to be a huge airport. Oh yeah, Philadelphia's and Seattle's always got some great approaches. Um, the thing is, after I go to Seattle, I'm gonna have actually a free day to go explore the city. So for me, I wanted to do the Museum of Flight, which is one of the best aviation museums in the United States. Um, which would be super nice. I've been always wanted to go see the Museum of Flight. It's located right on the grounds of King County Airport, Boeing Field. So it's right at Boeing Field. And then my dad wants to check out the Space Needle and explore the area around the Space Needle. That's what he wants to. So we'll do that the day before we do our Alaska trip. So yeah, Seattle's nice, but for a virtual airline though, I mean the only issue about Seattle would be it's a very busy hub for the virtual airlines. Like there's 10 VAs that actually using it as a hub, as a base of operations. So it's a beautiful airport, but it's also a super busy airport for our airlines. So the issue would be that if our economy system gets implemented at some point, well, it's going to be very expensive to operate, which is probably why I don't like. I mean, we could have voted for Seattle the first time, back in 2022 when we first did the airline, but the voters picked Lake Tahoe. Which, don't get me wrong, I love the area in Lake Tahoe, and I do like it. I just wish at some point our airline moves over to Reno, and I think that would be perfect though. Reno would be amazing. That's just me. Yeah. Yeah, Seattle could have been one of our hubs. It was on the original voting list, but I mean, I'm kind of glad Tahoe got picked. Like the area for GA is amazing. I'm just hoping eventually, though, Filthy, that our airline eventually moves over to Reno because, like, with all the new airliners in the sim, like, I'm just thinking Tahoe is going to be too small when we do the missions, air economy stuff. Which is why I'm hoping that maybe if I can convince Murph and maybe we could do like a practice achievement, like a weekly schedule or something, and just do some flights in arena and see how people like that. That's out of my rambling. Um, yeah. We'll talk a little bit about your this flight, by the way. According to SimBrief, it's going to take us about 1 hour and 18 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Uruguay um, as we're here. So Uruguay. So Uruguay is actually located in South America. It is a population of 3.4 million people. It's actually one of the smallest countries in South America. Um, it's only the smaller half of the countries in South America. Most of the people live around the metropolitan area of Montevideo. Of course, the Spanish founded it as a military stronghold in the 18th century due to convenient claims. Despite a more turbulent 20th century, ever since, um, uh, however, despite all this, Uruguay is actually a very democratic country. First in the Americas in democracy, first in South America in peace, corruption, and a government, as well as the lowest ranking South America in global terrorism. And it ranks highly in economic freedom, income inequality, and per capita income. It's also a very progressive country in the region. As it was high for personal rights, tolerance, inclusion, democracy with the LGBT community, and is also the first country in the world to fully legalize cannabis, as well as same-sex marriage and abortion. Yeah, crazy to think about a South American country doing this sort of stuff. Pretty crazy, to say the least. But you guys have been wondering how does Uruguay's history may turn out? Well, go ahead and start this a bit. So Uruguay was first inhabited around 13,000 years ago by hunter-gatherers, and it was established by the time of the first contact of Europeans. There were around 9,000 Charwa and 6,000 Chana and Guarani Island settlements, and there's an extensive archaeological collection in the site known as the Cerritos de Indios in the east part of the country, dating back to 5,000 years ago. However, the first European people to come here were actually the Portuguese, not the Spaniards. And they came there in 1512. Just 3 years later, the Spanish arrived in 1550 and set foot in the area. The indigenous people had a fierce resistance to being conquered. However, however, um, limited European settlement in the 16th, 17th centuries. However, then it became a zone of contention between the Spanish and Portuguese. In the 16th century, the Spanish introduced cattle, which became a source of wealth, with the first permanent Spanish settlement at Soriano. And then also you have Montevideo being founded in the early 18th century as a military stronghold, and its natural harbors soon developed into a commercial area that competed with Buenos Aires. The early 19th century was mainly shaped by ongoing fights for dominance in the Plantain region between the British, Spanish, Portuguese, and our colonial forces. The British Army attempted to seize Buenos Aires and Montevideo, with Montevideo being occupied by British forces. In 1811, Jose Gervasio Artigas became a national hero and launched a successful revolt against the Spanish authorities, defeating them in the Battle of Las Piedras, securing an independence for Uruguay. Then there was a new government in Buenos Aires, for federalism, and it led to conflict with the city of Buenos Aires in the region. And eventually this part originally became part of Argentina. Then Brazilian forces from Brazil took the capital Montevideo in 1817, and it became and modern Uruguay became part of Brazil, named it Cisplantia. And eventually though, in 1820s, with the war between the United Province of Rio de Plata and Brazil, led to a 500-day war called the Cisplantin War, and neither side gained the upper hand. This forced a diplomatic effort to finally give Uruguay an independent state, and August 25th is celebrated as Independence Day, a national holiday. So Uruguay gained independence as a fully independent state in 1828, thanks to the British. There was two major parties that split Uruguay apart. The conservative Blancos and the liberal Colorados are the two major sides representing different interests. One of the bigger changes in Uruguayan history was in 1843 when and eventually, however, the Colorados favored the Argentine liberal Unitarians, and eventually caused a war between the Uruguay Civil War, which lasted 13 years, including in 1843 when the Argentine army overran Uruguay. And it launched a 9-year siege in 1843 to 1851 that sieged the city of Montevideo. Eventually, the British and French trying to help restore commerce in the region and proved ineffective. And then it wasn't until the Brazilians came around and intervened that put an end to the conflict, securing Brazil's influence in Uruguay. Uruguay was again involved in the Paraguayan War, which led to the invasion of Paraguay and defeat of its armies of the three countries, and experienced a period of prosperity of the war. The constitutional government of General Lorenzo Babayaga suppressed revolutionary alliances, and eventually and allowed for coexistence between different parties. There were kind of more instability, but between 1875 and 1890, the military became center of power. And during this administrative period, the government took organizations to the country to make it a modern state, encouraging its economic and social transformations, mainly of businessmen, as well as later on allowing the civilians to have more and more power. In the 20th century, um, Jose about Jose Ordonez was elected president. There was an urban rural revolt. After 8 months of battle, the government was victorious, and he also had 2 years of more terms. Took advantage of the stability, prosperity, put new reforms, and to make Uruguay more successful. Then in 1931, Gabriel Terra became president. His inauguration was consigned by the Great Depression, and the social climate became tense with confrontation between police and leftists. Eventually, he would do more reforms. Well, then then one of the most interesting things that happened during World War II um, was actually between the British warship and the German ship, the Admiral Graf Spee, which wasn't far outside of the coast. The Graf Spee actually took refuge in Montevideo, but eventually they fought in a battle and it actually sank off the coast of Uruguay. It became the most well-known event in Uruguay during World War II. After the war, after World War II happened in the late 1950s, partly because of worldwide decreased demand for Uruguayan products, there was a lot of Steve Jobs standard of living, which led to student militancy and labor unrest. Then there were Marxist-Leninist guerrillas in the 60s engaging in bank robbery, kidnapping, assassination. And eventually, all this gets bad enough for the Uruguayan government to declare a state of emergency by President Jorge Pacheco. And in 1973, the armed forces disbanded parliament and established a civilian military regime. Eventually, though, the military governmentship lasted until the 1980s. With the new constitution drafted by the military was rejected, and eventually the armed forces were allowed the returns for civilian rule. And eventually, the first national election was won by the Colorado Party leader Julio Maria Sanguinetti. It implemented economic reforms and consolidated democracy. And then in 1999, the national elections were held under a new electoral system. And eventually, things have been pretty stable in Uruguay since. Have been incredibly stable, so there isn't too many news in modern day. And then in 2013, recreational cannabis was decriminalized, making it the first country in the world to legalize cannabis. So that is the history of Uruguay in a nutshell. So yeah, that is Uruguay's history. So around this area, this is the Piranha River down below us, and here's Red Dragon. Here with us, this is the Piranha River, one of the two main rivers that for Paraguay and Argentina. It actually goes, the Piranha goes through all the way down to throughout Argentina, goes to the border of Uruguay, and the Piranha goes all the way to the SGAS-SUMO Falls. It actually goes. And the Piranha River goes all the way through the reservoir, and it goes way up into Brazil as well. The Piranha, very important lifeblood of Brazil. There's one of the reservoirs of the river. Piranha River. Cool stuff. Yeah, can't believe that we're getting pretty close. So in terms of other flight sim news, Aerosoft has a new airport. Yes, the mega airport Oslo Gardermoen has finally been released. Developed by renowned scenery artist Joe Erland, and features a high fidelity experience of Norway's largest and busiest airport, and it looks amazing. Again, Aerosoft also had way more success with their sceneries than they are. Um, they have a lot of high detail buildings, dynamic and immersive environment, advanced lighting, custom features, interactive elements, configurable options, and it's available for 20 euros. Now, this would be a much better worth of the money than that Active Sky would be. It's actually cheaper, and I mean, it's Oslo. And Norway is a beautiful country, and that would be a perfect gateway to flights all across Northern Europe. It would be a great purchase for the money in Oslo. So that's gonna definitely be pretty nice news. I know tonight, guys, on Tucho Murphy's channel, he will be doing the second part of the Bremen flight. He'll be flying from Keflavik to Narsarsuaq, Bravo Golf, Bravo Whiskey. Should be a nice flight. And then on Saturday, Alison Johnson's going to complete her Sheila Scott journey. from Lisbon over to London. She will also have a special delivery on the Two Tone Murphy website if you guys want to check that out if you're part of the Murphy community. But yeah, it's got all of her signatures, including mine, on the Comanche, so it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, Allison gets to complete yet another around the world journey. And Typhon, can you give her like a shout out? Give her some love and support. If you guys haven't checked out Allison Johnson, you gotta head back to work. No worries, Filthy. Thank you for coming on by, my dude. Thank you so much, my dude. Hope to see you in a couple weeks. I hope I get to see you while on the trip. Or at least chat with you while I'm on the streams. So yeah, thank you, Typhon, for giving a shout out. Allison's a wonderful. If you guys haven't checked out Allison Johnson, um, amazing, amazing individual. Been a big fan of her streams for years, and I mean, she's just awesome. So pretty excited for this flight for sure. But yeah, the reason I wanted to do the airliner flight as well for today is because Uruguay scenery just isn't that great. And I asked myself, I'd rather just do and then for the GA we could just do Montevideo over to Buenos Aires, which would definitely be more exciting. Probably would be a GA flight over to Buenos Aires. But that would be the next. So my plans on for when I come back. Well, assuming that the 777 does indeed come out while I was gone, as soon as I get the 777, I'm gonna do a VA flight over from DFW over to Pittsburgh, which is a company route, and I wanted to do something to Pittsburgh. So we're gonna fly Dallas Fort Worth over to Pittsburgh. That would be on the Wednesday I get back. Assuming that the 777 is out by the time the stream comes. And then on Friday, we'll be doing from Montevideo, we'll travel to Buenos Aires and explore Buenos Aires, Argentina's great capital city. I heard that Buenos Aires is an incredible capital city and definitely worth visiting. And then on that Sunday, oh, you guys are gonna be happy. We're gonna go all the way down to Ushuaia on Sunday. We'll travel to Ushuaia at the bottom of the world. So we're gonna be going to Patagonia, which should be very exciting for you guys. Which I think you guys are going to be very, very happy about because, like I said, I want to get to Patagonia a little quick. But I mean, we still have a lot of countries to explore, so I want to. Oh, what's this? Hey, Angry One Horn. Good to see you, my dude. Angry One Horn and Angry One Horn viewers. This is Viperstrike 95. Good to see you with a party of 6, my dude. Good to have you here. We're here for Around the World Trip Day 26. We're gonna fly the 737-600 from Asuncion, Paraguay. We're gonna head it first to Melo, Sierra Uniform Mike Oscar, and then afterwards we'll go all the way to Montevideo, the capital of Paraguay. I hope you're doing well, everyone. I hope you had a great stream. I know you were doing some plane ferrying work from Australia. So, to see you, my dude. Thank you for giving the shout outs. Angry 100 viewers, if you guys don't know, I am Viperstrike 95. I've been streaming here on Twitch since 2021. I currently stream 3 days a week. Wednesdays are usually my virtual airline streams. I've been doing some stuff with the virtual airline. And Fridays and Sundays are now the new Around the World trips. We're doing the all countries trip. So we'll be exploring each of the different countries. We'll also be learning plenty of notes and information about every one of these countries. So it should be a really nice time, for sure. But yeah, this is going to be my last stream in a couple weeks, if you guys aren't aware. Oh, stream careers. I know, we start around the same time. It's pretty crazy. Angry One Horn. I start around May. Speaking of which, here's the thing. Depending on the date, if I remember my first stream, which was, I think it was in May 16th, if I recall, was my very first ever successful solo live stream. Let me check the dates for next month. Okay, that's a Thursday. Maybe the 15th, I might do a 3rd anniversary stream. I may recreate the first flight plan I ever did back in my days, which was the baseball series. So I might bring in my notes. But yeah, we'll be flying to all the places. But this time I'll be re-looking at the flight plan and re-looking all the streams and information. So I'll maybe want to do a revamp of my original flight plan. But I think that would be a very fun stream. So I might do that. So yeah, we're just 225 nautical miles off of Uruguay. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next thing of our slideshow today, and this is about the geography of Uruguay. So it's actually the second smallest sovereign nation in South America, behind only Suriname. In terms of scenery, it's actually mainly rolling hills, rolling plains, and low hill ranges with fertile coastal lowland. Mainly there's different networks, like the different basins, including the Rio de Plata Basin, the Uruguay River, the Laguna Marin, and the Rio Negro. The highest point in the country is the Cerro Cathedral, which is just only 1,600 feet, which is pretty low for among South America. It also features the southernmost capital of the Americas. Yes, it's actually more southerly than Buenos Aires in Montevideo, and it's the third most southern capital in the world, behind Canberra and Wellington. They're both in Oceania. There's also 10 national parks in the country, 5 in the wetland areas, 3 in the central hill country, and 1 along the West Rio, Uruguay. So, are you landing at Sumo? Yes, Sumo is. Yes, we're going to land at the small airport at Mello. Yes. I wanted to break this one up into two since that way we can focus on that. In terms of climate, it's located entirely in the southern temperate zone, so it has a fairly uh, mild and fairly uniform climate. It's a humid subtropical, only in some spots where is oceanic climate, which means this country experiences 4 different seasons, with between summers, which are tempered by winds of the Atlantic. Severe cold in the winter is unknown, though it never gets too cold. There is frost. There's also the absence of the mountains, so some vulnerables are vulnerable to high wind and rapid changes of weather. But what this means is that, well, simply put, the conditions are just pretty good all year round. For example, in Montevideo, which is the capital city of Paraguay, by the way, of Uruguay, temperatures don't really get super hot. It may get hotter in the winter, but during this, from like May and all that, the temperatures actually get really, really nice. The temperatures actually get really, really nice. They don't get super hot unless it's the winter time. That's why temperatures in Uruguay are quite tempered a bit. Um, then for government, Uruguay is a representative democratic republic with a presidential system. Members of government are elected for a 5-year term by universal suffrage. It's a unitary state. Legislative powers constituted by the government General Assembly with 2 chambers. One, the representatives of 99 members of 19 departments, and the Chamber of Senators, which had 31 members. The judicial arm is exercised by the Supreme Court, um, with benches of judges nationwide and are elected by the General Assembly. One of the more unique things about its constitution is because it's based on Switzerland's, the citizens can repeal or change by popular initiative. Um, so definitely pretty interesting as well. But yeah, it's among the most democratic country in the Americas. Fun fact. So pretty interesting stuff. In terms of its economy, Uruguay's economy is um, mainly focused on an export-oriented agricultural sector, a well-educated workforce, and with high levels of social spending. Tourism and banking are also prominent sectors of Uruguayan economy, and acts as a regional hub for international finance and tourism. It's also got a long history of representation of advanced workplace protections, including 8-hour workday protection in the beginning of the 20th century. But Uruguay's economy has went through quite a bit of changes throughout, and it really has grown quite a bit. Its GDP is around $82 billion, which is ranked in terms of GDP rank, it's 76 in the world. But its GDP per capita is actually pretty good, actually. 49th in the world, within the top 50 per capita. Still really good for South America, which is really, really nice. Pretty cool stuff. we'll be going ahead and making our way over to Melbourne. So yeah, I'm going to be heading out of town to Alaska, which is going to be more than 2 weeks. So you won't be seeing me back until the beginning of May. Then after that, I won't be going back out of town until in July, which is over 2 months. And yes, guys, I will send you plenty of pics for the Discord. I will definitely get those out to you all as well. So give you guys plenty of pictures on the Discord. I'll post them to you guys so you guys get to know my trip. I'm gonna be missing you guys, but I hope you guys have a good time though. Yeah, not a lot of scenery around this area, which makes sense. So we're now in Uruguay. If you can notice in Uruguay, there are rolling hills across this area around this part. We're still in Brazil technically, but we're not too far from Uruguay. Doing quite well. So yeah, we're about to top it to descent into Sierra Uniform Mike Uniform at Pella. Yeah, it's actually known as Milo International Airport. It's only got 4,900 feet. So it's meant for the smaller planes, but we could take the 737-600 through here, can we? So if you guys were around Wednesday, we did a college town stream with the DC-3. We went from Bloomington, Indiana to Lafayette, to West Lafayette, to South Bend, to Lansing, and then Ann Arbor. And I really, really enjoyed that stream. So if you guys don't mind, I might do another college town related stream, and I've got a flight plan set up for some of the universities in Texas. But we'll mainly fly GA. We'll start at San Antonio. We'll start at San Geronimo Little Air Park. We're going to do some general aviation flying across San Antonio, going to University of Texas at Austin. Then we're going to go Waco, then College Station, and finally end our trip in Houston. We'll be paying a visit to both the University of Houston and Rice, and we'll talk about each of these universities. And this is going to be a GA flight, and this one might take a little longer, but I want to take it nice and slow. But I really enjoyed doing these college town stuff. This was, and this time Texas will actually have some photogrammetry in this one. San Antonio's got photogrammetry, so we can check out UTSA. Austin's got photogrammetry, which we could check out University of Texas. And Waco's got photogrammetry, and all of Houston has now got it. So should be a lot of fun to check out the college towns. And of course, there's also the ones in the South. And they got some huge colleges down there, especially Alabama and Auburn. As as well as there's also a couple more college towns in the Midwest, so I might have to take something faster. But there's like Lincoln, Nebraska, um, Manhattan, Kansas. There's also Ames in Iowa City, Madison, Wisconsin. So that was some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, there's some pretty cool colleges that are really cool visiting. There's also some in the Western United States. Um, like there's also UCLA, which is California, Los Angeles, USC, Southern California. Those are pretty cool to visit. San Diego State, and then Fresno State. There's some cool universities as well to visit. And how can you forget North and South Carolina as well? All the different universities in North Carolina. In terms of Uruguay's economy, we have to talk about its agricultural sector. So the agriculture of Uruguay contributes around 9.3% of its economy and GDP and 13% workforce. And Uruguay is among the world's largest producers of soybeans, wool, horse meat, beeswax, and quinces. Most farms are family managed, with beef and wool representing the main activities, which is 65%, followed by vegetable, dairy, hogs, and poultry. And of course, the main export commodity is beef. Yes, this area has got a lot of. So, yeah, but yeah, Uruguay is a big part of beef. And of course, for tourism, it's become 9% of the GDP, and there's quite a bit of things to do. Like for example, the Colonial de Sacramento illustrates the colonial history of Uruguay, and it's among it's the Latin American country that receives the most tourists in relation to population, mainly from Argentina, since it represents 56% of the external tourism they receive each year and 7% during the summer months. A lot of that tourism comes from Uruguay. So, pretty important stuff about Uruguay's economy. So, yeah, we'll talk more about Uruguay once we get to the second leg of today's flight. We'll talk a bit more about that. Very, very excited as well to be here. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys have any really cool plans for the weekend. I hope you guys have some really neat plans for this weekend. Um, I hope you guys have a good time this weekend. Like I said, I won't be around. But I hope you guys enjoy yourselves this weekend. Some pretty big stuff going on. let's look outside for a little bit. We're, we're getting soon to approach. We're just 71 nautical miles away from our approach. Now, since there's no ILS approaches and stuff, we're just gonna land straight in. But now we entered Uruguay, so we can definitely check out the Uruguayan landscape a little bit. Definitely a very interesting landscape with the rolling hills and all. Also got a turn. And Mm. Okay. So we're about to approach Mello. So this is Mello, Uruguay. Got some little notes. This is Mello, Uruguay. So Mello is a pretty interesting city. It's the capital city of the Cerro Largo department of northeast Uruguay. It was founded in 1795 by Agustin de la Rosa of the Spanish Empire, named after Pedro Melo de Portugal. The city square was named after Manuel Uribe, the second conscious president of Uruguay. One of the more interesting things about Uruguay is there's the birthplace of Juana de Ibarboros birthplace, who was one of those popular writers in Spanish America. The other most interesting fact about the city was when Pope John Paul II visited here in 1988. The background for the 2016 film El Bono de Papa, aka The Pope's Toilet, about an enterprising citizen with an ill-fated idea of making money by building a toilet and charging the hordes of Brazilians expected to see the Pope. But it ended up not being successful, as in the case of that movie. That was just something interesting I wanted to point out about this Uruguay. So here we are, guys. See the scenery right here? It's just like what I described it as. Rolling hills. There's rolling hills all across. Um, you can see all the rolling hills across. Um, the Uruguayan scenery. You can see all the rolling hills in this area. Yep, here we are. Now, like I said, it's only, I kid you not, this airport only has a 4,900-foot runway. So once we land and park here, I'll go ahead and prepare for the next slice flight plan over to Montevideo. Montevideo. Hmm. So the next leg should be a much shorter one. That is to Carrasco International Airport. Which is gonna be a much shorter leg. We're not gonna go as high in altitude as previously, but Here we are, guys. 1,000 feet. And there is the town of Mello to our left. There's the city of Mello. Our left. Go ahead and put it into max. I'm going to go ahead and set the brakes to max. For the auto brakes. Should be an interesting landing. Oh, this could be an interesting stop. There we go. Well, there you go, guys. How about that for the first flight of the day? Not an easy one. Negative 173. Yep, we landed here our first stop. Now, obviously, this was probably mainly used for turboprops, like the ATR. Like, the ATR would have had no problem landing here. All right. Nicely done. We made it to our first stop here at Mello. This is our first stop of the trip. So I'm gonna go ahead and prepare for the second leg of the flight. We'll be making our way over to Montevideo. So let me go ahead and get sim brief. Prepared. And prepared for our second and final flight, which is to Montevideo, which is the capital city of Uruguay. So this one's going to be a much shorter one, obviously. No worries. So let me go ahead and update the route once again. Go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and get the flight plan. I got the flight plan will be set up. Let's go ahead and get the flight plan set up, guys. Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna check my. I'm gonna change it to 45%. Um, 26. 'That's gonna be. Montevideo is 68 feet. So this flight's gonna be 44 minutes. This one's gonna be a bit shorter than the last one. So I'm gonna be in the taxiway if anyone wants to wait up. But should be a nice flight. So we're gonna be cruising at 26,000 feet today. might get a chance to see Montevideo on our way. We'll be doing a GA flight over Montevideo on when I get back. Oh. Here's the town. There's the city of Melo in northern Uruguay. So let's go to our slideshow and talk about transportation in Uruguay. So in Uruguay, the main transportation, of course, one of the most advanced container terminals is the Port of Montevideo, which can handle up to 1.1 million containers annually. It can handle 14-year draught vessels, which are pretty deep. Of course, you also have Carrasco International in Montevideo, which is the busiest airport. The two busy airports are Carrasco Montevideo and Punta del Este International and Punta del Este. The country also has its own rail transport network, which is about 750 miles of operational rail track. However, the big thing I wanted to talk about for Montevideo used to be its own flag carrier. This is Pluna. This used to be the flag carrier of Uruguay. It's known as Plunas Líneas Aéreas Uruguayas. It used to be the former flag carrier of Uruguay, headquartered at Carrasco. It was established in 1936, and it lasted until 2012 due to striking employees and financial difficulty. But the story of this airline came back to September 1936, established by two brothers, Jorge and Alberto Marquez Vesa, who support from the master of the UK. And the first two planes they flew was the de Havilland Dragonflies from Montevideo to Salto and Paysandú. Basically, the de Havilland Dragonflies is these little DH-90s from the 1930s. Afterwards, they became a huge success as they flew over 2,600 passengers in their first year, a huge success. And they also flew lots of pieces of mail and newspapers. Then they also incorporated two more types of aircraft, the Potin 62 from France and the Douglas DC-2 in the 40s. It was forced to suspend operations during World War II, though after the war they got the DC-3, DC-3s, de Havilland Herons, and more. Then the plane got into the into much more. They did a lot more flights into not only Uruguay but also Bolivia and Argentina, like Buenos Aires and Cordoba, to its growing hub network. Um, in 1938, they entered the turbine era with the Vickers Viscount, which are the four-engine turboprops from Vickers, and then it's slowly grown considerably in the next decades. But they soon added the jets, 707 and 737 Boeings. They also began services to Madrid, Asunción, Rio, and Santiago. Um, and then also Pluto benefited from Punta del Este um, as a major destination. Then there was financial trouble in the 90s, and they started to do some privatization, um, mainly with KVCom and Uruguay businessmen. However, due to all the issues with it, um, it eventually fell apart in 2012 and collapsed, and officially, like I said earlier, striking workers and all that, and they liquidated the entire airline. So there have been attempts to try and bring it back, but so far there hasn't been any attempts. In terms of destinations, some of the international flights include Buenos Aires, Rio de Janeiro, Santiago, Chile, Asunción, Paraguay, Sao Paulo, Madrid, Spain, and Cordoba, Argentina. Um, at the time of their collapse, they operated 12 Bombardier CRJ 900s. So historically, they operate all sorts of planes: the A330, 707, 737 family planes. Of course, the original de Havilland Dragonfly, their original plane, C-47, DC-8, and the Vickers Viscount. To name the few. Yeah, who knew Paraguay once had its own airline? So very, very interesting. This wraps up some of the its own commercial airliner history. And just in a little bit, we'll talk about the culture of Uruguay. Here's at the top of climb. Yeah, as you can tell, yeah, you can see all the rolling hills from Paraguay. A lot of it is rolling hills, rivers, and all that. Different basins. Yeah, that's what a lot of Uruguay scenery is when you look at the geography. Mm. So, so now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the culture of Uruguay for a bit. So, in terms of culture, Uruguay has a very diverse culture due to the fact that it's heavily European influenced, mainly with Spain and Portugal, as well as the large amount of immigration during the 19th century. One of the big things about Uruguayan culture has often got lots of traditions, mainly the guacho, but also its cities have rich heritage, as well as carnival and Predome as well. Create a very unique culture in here, Uruguay, influenced by Brazil, Argentina, and lots of immigrant groups. One of the big things about Uruguayan culture has been its music. It shares not only its guacho roots with Argentina, but those of tango. In fact, one of the most famous tangos ever written, La Camparista, in 1917, was written by Uruguayan composer Gerardo Matos Rodriguez. There's also numerous radio stations reflect rock music in the Caribbean genres known as musica tropical. And there were also different subgenres that have achieved success in across Latin America, proving that their music was quite popular. But yeah, Uruguay music definitely has a lot of stuff. In addition to music as well, has been Uruguayan cuisine. Now, Uruguay's cuisine is very similar mainly to Europe, thanks to Spain, France, and Italy. Um, but of course, there's lots of Spanish influences. Makes sense. It was a Spanish colony. However, the base of what makes their diet, however, is meat animal products, mainly beef. Which, by the way, Argentina would be very similar to that as well, is in terms of beef. Mainly with boiling and roasting, though frying has been day popular in with wheat. The typical beverage is mate, which is the most typical beet, and they take it to all sorts of places. Pizza's also been introduced, wholly included in mint Uruguayan cuisine. Mainly, it's more similar to that of a calzone than an actual pizza from Italy. But typical dishes include asado uruguayo, roasted lamb, chivito, melanzia, tortellini, spaghetti, gnocchi, ravioli, rice, and vegetables are some of the parts of Paraguayan cuisine. Are major parts of the Paraguayan cuisine. But yeah, they got a lot of different things, and of course, barbecue and salads and stuff are very popular. But yeah, they got all sorts of stuff. They got different barbecues and steak, but their most famous thing is asado, which barbecue and stuff is very popular here. But it's even more so when we get to Argentina, because there's a lot to talk about when we talk about Argentina. So that makes part of Uruguayan cuisine. Then we have literature. The first person was Jose Enrique Rodo. He is a modernist and considered to be the most significant literary figure in Uruguay, and he had his book Ariel from 1900 that deals with the need to maintain spiritual values while preserving material and technological progress. Then from that same period was the romantic poetry of Juan Zorrilla de Martin, who wrote epic poems about the country's history. And his most well-known contemporary writer is Eduardo Galeano, who did two different books. The first being Las Venas Abiertas de America Latina, The Open Veins of Latin America in Spanish, and the trilogy Memoria del Fuego, The Memory of Fire, his literary work. And of course, we got to talk about sports, obviously, since we are in Uruguay, by the way. Um, and that is sport. By far, the most popular sport in Uruguay is football. It was actually entered. In fact, believe it or not, the first international match played outside the British Isles was actually played between Uruguay and Argentina in Montevideo in 1902. And not to mention this, Uruguay even won the Paris Olympic gold medals in football. But the most well-known thing about Uruguayan football was actually its national football team, nicknamed the Las Celeste, the Sky Blue. However, it's considered by many to be one of the most successful football nations of all time, the national team. In fact, fun fact, not only have they won the Copa America 15 times, which is tied with Argentina for the most, but surprisingly, they actually have won the FIFA World Cup twice. Yes, little Uruguay won the FIFA World Cup twice. In fact, they won the very first ever World Cup back in 1930, um, defeating their neighbor Argentina. And then, of course, they also won it in 1950 in one of the most well-known World Cup games of all time by upsetting the host Brazil 2-1 in one of the most iconic FIFA World Cup games of all time. Currently, right now, they're 15th in the world, but in the modern rankings, they went as high as second in June 2012. But Uruguay was still one of the most successful football teams of all time. And they've had massive amount of honors. Their national team is still one of the most successful in modern history, historically. So historically, Uruguayan football is super important. In the picture there is Centenario Stadium. Um, um, in addition to football, the next most popular sport is basketball. Its national men's team qualified for the Basketball World Cup 7 times, more than any other countries in South America besides Brazil and Argentina. It has even hosted the Basketball World Cup in 1967. So basketball is actually kind of popular here in Uruguay. Oh, no worries. No worries, Red Dragon. We can meet me at the end by Montevideo. So that concludes the sport and culture of Uruguay. So here are some pretty fun facts about this vibrant but overlooked but vibrant but overlooked country. Yes, because Uruguay gets overlooked between Argentina and Brazil. So it kind of gets overlooked a bit. But here's some pretty fun facts. The first fun fact is that the national anthem of Uruguay is the longest one in the world at 105 different bars. Of course, I said this earlier, but the soccer team is known as La Celeste, the sky blue. And you could tell because of the iconic blue and white stripes that are instantly recognizable to anyone who knows the national teams. The largest ferry service in South America is the Bucabus. Um, and and the Bucabus basically is ferry services between Buenos Aires to Montevideo. Because obviously, come on, those two huge cities are very close to each other. And of course, the Constitution of Uruguay grants every citizen the right to access clean drinking water. And it's the only one in the world to do that. Pretty fun fact about Uruguay. So, pretty cool stuff. Where are you flying when you get there? I'm flying the 737-600. Red Dragon. And here's some pretty cool landmarks. Here's some two particular ones here outside of Montevideo that are definitely worth talking about. Number one is the Punta del Este, which is the main attraction, is the coastline of golden sand and water sports. You can also do a lot of whale watching, as well as tons of hotels with their own amenities in the Museum of the Sea. Um, I could have landed at Punta del Este as well, but I decided to stick with Montevideo, the capital. The other one is the Colonial del Sacramento, which features a cobblestone streets, with tons of historical buildings, like a 17th century convent, a municipal museum, and the Basilica of the Holy Sacrament are located here in the rest of Uruguay. And of course, we got to talk about Paraguay's capital city of Montevideo. Um, so Montevideo is Paraguay's capital. It's home to 1.31 million people, which is 1/3 of the country's population in the city itself. Its metropolitan area is around 2 million people. Montevideo was established in November 1723. Um, um, this city is among the highest quality of life in South Latin America, and it's held that since 2005 as the highest quality of life of any major South American city, of any Latin American city. It's also its GDP. It's also the highest 19th largest city in GDP for Latin America. It's a beta global city. It's even hosted the first FIFA World Cup. Every match of the 1930 FIFA World Cup. It's a very vibrant, eclectic place with rich culture, and it's one of the top places to visit in the region with preserved European architecture and a major financial hub. So Montevideo definitely is is a very underrated city. When people talk about South American cities, they think of places like Rio, Sao Paulo, Buenos Aires, um, or Quito, Lima, or Santiago. Like, it kind of gets easy for Montevideo to kind of get overlooked. But in fact, Montevideo is really cool because there are tons of really cool stuff. It's a very colorful place. It's rich in landmarks and culture, and there are a lot of them in this city. The first one being the Plaza Independencia, designed in 1937, featuring a mausoleum, a monument dedicated to Jose Gervasio Artigas. It's one of the few green spaces in the city. Worth checking out. Um, then the next one is the Salvo Palace, built in the 1920s. Originally, it wasn't particularly designed for a purpose, though it became instead a major office and residential place. It's definitely a very striking. It's still a very striking place, and it dominates the skyline of much of the bay. And of course, the last major landmark is, of course, Stadium's Estadio Centenario, or Century Stadium, built for the main stadium of the 1930 World Cup, the very first ever FIFA World Cup, in fact. Which is the first ever FIFA World Cup. It's now served as the main home of the Uruguayan national team, as well as hosting smaller games, and there's even a museum there as well. And of course, there's also a museum there as well. But yeah, football plays a huge role in the culture, and they have their own football museum. Which makes sense, considering Uruguay was where the World Cup started back in 1930. And it's listed as one of the classic football stadiums by FIFA. So it's an absolutely very important stadium for any international football fans. Like any associated football fans should definitely check out the stadium. So very cool stuff here as well. It's a super cool place. Check out. And then finally, for the last stop, is going to be Carrasco International Airport, which is the main airport for main international gateway to Uruguay. It's the country's largest airport. It's one of the most efficient and traveler-friendly airports in Latin America, named after Cesario El Baricio, a pioneer of Uruguayan aviation. It also has its own air base as well. It started built in 1947. And there were several upgrades over the years to build it. They also built a new runway 0119 as well for 7,300 feet. It also featured a new terminal that can handle 3 million passengers a year with 4 jetways as well. And this airport serves as the main operational hub for cargo and charter passenger airline air class lineage areas. But of course, this airport served in 2017 over 2.1 million people. And destinations include Buenos Aires, Madrid, Miami, Bogota, Panama City, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Santiago, Lima, and Asunción are the destinations served from this airport. So yeah, that is the last slide for Uruguay. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Take you on a bit of a journey. So we're not far from Montevideo, the beautiful city. Go ahead and tour outside. But yeah, it's a good thing I took the little 600 today. Like I said, this thing doesn't usually get a lot of time flying. Mostly everyone flies either the 700 or 800 of Boeings, or even the 900 for that matter. No one really flies the 600 very much. Despite the fact that it's a very nice plane to fly in and out of. Yeah, guys, here is Montevideo. There's the capital city of Uruguay. Maybe if we get a good chance, we might see the football stadium down from here. Yeah, I would like to see a Uruguay, Brazil, and Argentina World Update. That would be really cool. Imagine photogrammetry Rio or photogrammetry Montevideo or especially Buenos Aires, man. That would be amazing as a that would be awesome. Mm. There's Montevideo. Yeah, here's the Montevideo port around this area. Oh, look at that! What a great shot.
2500.
The guys look to our left. We can see Estadio Centenario is right over here. There's the football grounds here in Uruguay. And here's the rest of downtown. Here's downtown Montevideo. Beautiful downtown. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead and set the auto brakes to 2. We're gonna land on runway 06 and we're gonna taxi to one of the gates. So yeah, this has been a great flight, guys. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys are enjoying this more. If you guys are liking the streams and you want to support the channel, smash that follow button. Support the channel. So we're going to be doing this quite a bit. So guys, the next time we'll be back on this journey would be in May. I believe it is May. I believe May. Yeah, it's May 10th. So that's almost a whole, only 9 days away from a whole month since I last be seeing you guys. So, but we'll be back in Montevideo and we'll be going through G flight over to Buenos Aires. So I decided we'd do some general aviation stuff to Buenos Aires. I think that would be pretty fun. I think it would be a fun way to do some stuff for Buenos Aires. I think you guys would definitely like that. Look at that. That's another nice landing. This here, negative 152 here. FS, the landing rate monitor says negative 17. That's smooth. Go ahead and. That's it, guys. And we'll just park in one of the taxi. Park one of the gates. Guys, we just made it to Montevideo today, guys. Woohoo! That's another South American country down. We're gonna be visiting. We're gonna visit Buenos Aires. So next time we do this trip, and then after that, Ushuaia, which we're gonna make it to the bottom of the world. I'm gonna be skipping out some of the GA stuff in Argentina, but the reason was I'm gonna save the best part of it, which is Patagonia, which I think a lot more of you guys would be interested in. But yeah, great to have you guys here. Thank you so much. And don't worry, guys. I'm gonna have a great holiday. I'm gonna be missing you guys in here in the chat. You know, I'm gonna be missing you quite a bit. But I know you guys are gonna hold down the fort. Sure. And what a flight, guys. What an absolutely fun flight. Guys, thank you all so much for coming here today. Angry Warren, thanks again for the raid, my dude. So guys, I'm gonna be missing you guys. It's gonna be about 3 weeks since the next time I'll be seeing you guys. But until then, so the next plan would be on May 8th would be the next time we're gonna be back on the stream. And we'll make our way over from Montevideo. We're actually on May 8th, we'll be back for a Firefly stream. Hopefully, if the 777's out by then, we'll make our way from Dallas to Pittsburgh on the American Airlines 777-300. Should be an awesome flight to Pittsburgh or East US Hub. Though I may even be tempted to fly out of Payne to either Reno or maybe even to Pittsburgh. I don't know. And then the next time we'll be back on this journey will be on the 10th. We'll be flying a GA flight over to Buenos Aires, which is, by the way, if you guys haven't checked out Buenos Aires, it's an amazing city in South America, one of the absolute jewels of South America. So guys, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and set up the raid. We'll go raid Boozy Sheep today. Should be a pretty he's a fun streamer and a really close friend of mine too. So guys, I hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the time. I hope to see you guys again on my interactive chat. But guys, thank you so much. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of the start of your all's weekend. Goodbye, everyone.